Hi everyone, my name is Derrick and I'll be doing a series of devotionals on great questions asked in the Bible. Even though life culture was different back then when the Bible was written, I think we'll find that they struggled with some of the same questions and issues that we have today. We'll be looking at some of the backstories and what are some of the lessons we can learn from their experiences and the answers to those questions. The first question we'll be looking at is, why do you look for the living among the dead? You're probably thinking that, well, who does that to begin with? And I think that's a great question to ask, is that no one would really do that, at least not anyone in their right mind. Nonetheless, we find that question being asked. So let's go look at the backstory. In Luke 24, 1 through 5, it reads, "On the first day of the week, very early in the morning, the women took the spices they had prepared and went to the tomb. They found the stone rolled away from the tomb. But when they entered, they did not find the body of the Lord Jesus. While they were wondering about this, suddenly two men in clothes that gleamed like lightning stood beside them. In their fright, the women bowed down with their faces to the ground, but the men said to them, 'Why do you look for the living among the dead?' The issue was that they weren't really looking for the living among the dead. They were looking for the dead among the dead, namely Jesus. You see, for Mary and these women, Jesus had died, and he was still in the tomb, even though he said he would rise. So they were still mourning because they didn't really believe that he would. Now, in Jewish tradition, bodies were not embalmed, so the women were actually going to anoint Jesus' body with spices to control the odor of decomposition. But they're suddenly greeted by two angels that appeared as men, and they're perplexed because of this missing body, Jesus' body. I love the way that John's version just zooms in on Mary's experience during this time. Verse 11, we read, "Now Mary stood outside the tomb crying. As she wept, she bent over to look into the tomb and saw two angels in white seated where Jesus' body had been, one at the head and the other at the foot. They asked her, 'Woman, why are you crying?' 'They have taken my Lord away,' she said, 'and I don't know where they put him.' At this, she turned around and saw Jesus standing there, but she did not realize that it was Jesus. He asked her, 'Woman, why are you crying? Who is it you're looking for?' Thinking he was the gardener, she said, 'Sir, if you've carried him away, tell me where you've put him, and I will go get him.'" You see, the Jesus that Mary was looking for at that time couldn't overcome death, even though he had raised their very brother from the dead. And she's seen countless other miracles, but she didn't believe that Jesus had resurrected as he said he would. So understandably, she's weeping, not only because she believes Jesus is still dead, but now she believes his body is stolen. And if you can just imagine the conversation here that Jesus is having with this quote-unquote gardener about who removed the body, completely unaware that she's talking to the resurrected Jesus. I read this account and sometimes it just gives me chills to think of the anticipation that she's about to experience when she realizes that Jesus is really alive, and in fact that he's this very gardener talking to her, or so-called gardener. In verse 16, Jesus said to her, "Mary?" She turned toward him and cried out in Aramaic, "Rabboni," which means teacher. Jesus said, "Do not hold on to me, for I have not yet ascended to the Father. Go instead to my brothers and tell them, I am ascending to my Father and to your Father, to my God and your God." Jesus revealed himself. with that one instant, he called her name, Mary. That day, Mary's faith was rekindled. She had lost heart and she had lost faith, and she was devastated. And as I wonder about the challenges from 2020 and what that's been like, it's been an unbelievably difficult year for many of us. And perhaps we've lost faith. Perhaps we've grown discouraged and weary. Perhaps we've been filled with despair, or maybe we're even grieving some of our own losses. Maybe loved ones, or a loss of job or income due to the COVID-19. But I want to really encourage us to think about the Jesus that we honor and serve, that he's still Lord and he's very much alive. So let's not go looking for Jesus in the wrong places as we work through our challenges. Let's realize that he's not in that tomb, but he's right here with you and I. May God bless you and give you peace.